Is it gonna focus on me no matter how far away I get? Does it refocus? That's crazy. Hello there, I'm Jacob Wixom. I like learning, cooking, music, and it's a snowy January afternoon. What do you do when it's a snowy afternoon? You make a YouTube channel. Did I just plagiarize that tune? Look, there's no shortage of great and educational YouTube channels out there, but I feel like we're living in a really unique time where there's so much access to information and ideas, and because of that we have a responsibility to try to seek and share reliable information. You know, there's so many voices out there that it's hard to tell which ones you can trust, so we wind up only listening to the ones that we already agree with or that we're familiar with, or our own voice if you talk to yourself. I kind of feel like I'm talking to myself because I've never really recorded a video like this before. So I study sociology, in particular political sociology, and if there's one thing that's become abundantly clear in the last few months, there's a lot of things that have become abundantly clear in the last few months. If I had to pick one, it would be that we could be doing a heck of a lot better at seeking and sharing reliable information. There's a war of ideas raging, and a lot of times we wind up just talking past each other. So I live in Utah. It's a largely conservative state. I'm sure we'll talk about this eventually, but it wasn't always that way quite so much. Hard as that might be to believe. So I grew up pretty conservative. Both my parents are fairly moderate. I won't speak for them, but I think increasingly so each year. But most of the people that I've lived around for my whole life, or most of my life I guess, are very conservative. Some of them very conservative. However, over the course of the last couple of years, I feel like I've gradually moved a little bit to the left. Now, if this is the scale, I would say this is the middle. I'm hoping that this is your left because it's my right. I'm probably about right here. Although some of you are going to think that I'm way over here, and some of you that I'm over here. And that might be true in some cases on certain issues, and it also might just be perspective. So I feel fortunate to be able to relate to both perspectives. 20-something years of experience as a conservative, a couple years of experience as a moderate liberal-ish, and I feel like I can relate to both sides. I definitely still have a lot of conservative values. A lot of people would probably say that I'm quite conservative on some issues, but I realize that being able to relate to both sides isn't typically the case. At least in Utah, it can be very polarizing. I mean, very polarizing. Many people either feel empowered because they're part of the conservative majority, or they have a chip on their shoulder because they're part of the liberal minority. And so there seems to be very little incentive to try to understand other perspectives or even want to hear other perspectives. And that's how you wind up with people that are like, they just want to kill babies, and then they're like, they just want to control my body. And it's like nobody wants to do either of those things. I mean, really, they don't. But we'll get into all of that down the road. For right now, suffice it to say, let it suffice to say, for now, let it suffice to say, let it suffice to say, let it suffice to say that my goal is to bring both perspectives to certain hot-button issues in a way that I think both sides can feel like they can relate to, they can feel represented in. I've already revealed my bias. I lean a little bit left. This is your left. But like I said, I'm quite conservative on some issues, and I still have a lot of conservative family-oriented values, and we'll get into that because I don't think that it's quite so like this side likes families and this side just doesn't like families. I think that that's a very complex question. So right now, if you're thinking, I don't want to watch these videos because he's just going to try to convince me of something that I already know I disagree with, first of all, that is a terrible attitude, and it's what got us here in the first place. Secondly, I think you're going to be surprised just how much you feel like you can relate to what I'm talking about. I don't think the two sides are quite as much of like water and oil. Did we use that analogy here? Or is that just like in Argentina? I lived in Argentina for a little while and they used to say that. Oh. But I don't think that we're so incompatible as we might think that we are. So with that, enjoy.